sorry. Oh, I- let's do that again. At 9:38, I'm calling the Will County Ad Hoc Old Courthouse meeting to order. Vince, would you like to start us in the pledge? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we get a roll call, please? Oh, sorry.
Going on here. Yeah.
Actually, might not just.
Hey,
Williams,
can we turn everybody on?
Berkowitz,
Oh.
Butler, Logan,
Here.
Diaz.
Yes. Diaz, yeah, here.
They have a quorum.
Okay, I just got the text from Dan. He'll be here in 30 minutes. We'll probably be done by then.
Oh.
Hmm,
This is a 10-minute meeting.
Yeah.
That's what I told him. Can we approve the minutes for September 17th, the 10:30 a.m. meeting? It's on here. I need a motion.
Motion Logan.
Second Williams.
Roll call.
Williams,
Yes.
Logan,
Yes.
Diaz.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, any old business? No, not really. New business. Okay, recommendation to fund the park, RFQ, RFP, the fencing, the coordinating. Okay. We have money left from the demolition. However, November 30th, that money goes bye-bye. So if no one decides to do what we've requested, we're gonna lose that money. However, I had a nice conversation with Jim Richmond. He would like us to pass, recommend $300,000 to go to the finance for the Will County Courthouse Park until we come up with a new name and move it to finance. So that's what we're here to do.
So do we just move it to finance or we have to?
We
send it
have-
to executive?
Well,
I thought we had 900,000.
We do almost 900,000.
880. 884,300.
Correct.
Yeah.
But come November 31st, 30th or 31st,
30th.
that money is gone. It gets absorbed and it can be spread for any other projects. That's what Jim said and that's what Marcy said.
So in other words, we're not using the entire 800,000. He wants us to request it.
He wants us to request 300,000. And if we move that forward, then he can put that into the budget for next year.
So
Or
What about the rest of the money though?
why don't we do the 884?
Yeah.
Because that's all we would have then. He's wanting us to ask for 300.
Right, but that's the question. Why are we only asking for 300?
I don't know.
Cause that leaves the rest of the money
That
to
means 600 is gonna
go by the
go
wayside.
bye-bye.
Well, we can ask for it.
You can ask for more if you want. I think that Jim's thought process was that that would be a reasonable request for purposes of starting that project, which we all know will not finish within a year.
Right.
And that likelihood of having that put into the budget for next year as a capital project would more likely be approved at a rate of 300,000 versus 800,000. The money, the way I understand it, and Janet, correct me if I'm wrong, is if that 800, whatever and some odd change is not spent by November 30th, it then gets absorbed into next year's budget. If you do not have a plan in place for something in that budget, it's going to be allocated somewhere else and you will have no monies for your courthouse project.
Like-
So the goal is to have an allocation in the 2025 budget, I believe,
Yes.
so that you have funds to start that project.
And my conversation with Jim was, he thought we could do the 300,000 for multiple years in a row. So that we can keep fixing and repairing and getting more and more done on this project. That was his thought process.
So start with the 3 and then we'd be more likely for them to approve it next time if we ask for it.
That is what Jim was saying, yes. Every
I
year.
see that, but then we lose 584,000.
Well, let's
Well,
go.
we're gonna lose it November 30th anyway. It's gone. Because do we think Jennifer's gonna give us the RFQ and do the fencing and coordinating before November 30th? It's not looking like it. So we're losing that anyway. So we have to look like it's basically not there.
So Vince, and is there a happy medium between the two? Between 3 and 8?
Jim would know.
And he said he can put it in the budget. It is there. So
So
are we
do
okay
just
with
need a-
that as a start?
I don't have a problem with it. I just do wonder, I mean, if we're gonna spend 3, we just spend 8. But, but, I mean, it's fine if that's what Jim thinks is workable.
I've been trying to find someone to do the RFP and
Yeah,
I keep getting the runaround.
I'm sure. I know. I'm
Yeah.
having some of the same
I
issues.
got a meeting with Mike Mahoney next week.
Did you-
Apparently he's writing the RFP.
Did you set a date for that? I know there were some dates thrown out, but I didn't see a final response from him.
October 10th at 1 o'clock.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, you're on the email, so it's buried in there somewhere.
okay.
1:30 maybe. So I didn't know that he writes RFPs, but.
So sometimes, yes, sometimes they do they send them to the state's attorney's office for review. Or in some occasions, there is a firm contracted to create the RFP if it's something outside of anybody's expertise in Will County. For instance, there is a firm that's been hired that was approved by the county board with the FEMA money to create the RFP for the new website, to go out for the new website. So that company is gathering all of the information on the way things work, and then they will write the RFP or RFQ, I get them confused, but prepare that, just like you did with Kluber and Associates. Do you remember that for the demolition?
Yep.
You hired them to create the RFP for the demolition bids.
Right, okay,
So that's the different ways those things happen.
okay.
Okay.
Still trying to wrap around my head why we don't want to.
It's not that I don't want to have the almost 900,000, because I would love that. But if this is what we know we can get on the 2025 budget, I think we should do that. And God forbid, if she does decide she wants to let us spend some of that 900,000, good for us. Now we're even ahead more.
The 900,000, and I'm using that, I know it's 884, but it's allocated for,
It's the leftover money from the demolition.
so why would we not use that and then ask for 300 next year?
Because you aren't gonna spend it between now and November 30th.
Oh,
So
that-
when it's not spent, it goes, it's absorbed into the 2025 budget
Right.
and then gets reallocated.
Okay.
And there's no way that it will be reallocated.
It
To
would
us.
not be reallocated to you unless there is a line item in the budget saying that it's allocated to this particular
there's no-
project.
yeah, and we're not
And
gonna get-
currently, there is nothing in the 2025 budget for that purpose.
Correct.
And the odds of that happening is probably gonna be pretty slim to rebuild
Correct.
on.
Jim
Great.
seems to
Makes
have
sense.
this idea that he can get the 300,000 into a line item for us under the finance committee.
Yes,
Well, that's not such a bad thing because right now the budget's 235 and we're trying to cut 1 million. So that 500,000 would cut half of it right there. So
and
actually that might
that's
be a win-win.
probably Jim's thinking, is
Yeah,
that
might be a
in the
win-win.
balancing of it, you could still allocate 300 for your purpose and still
Then
Cut the
knock off-
budget.
do whatever it is
knock
you
off
need,
the money in
you know,
budget
the
so
thought process is.
Budget stays the same, so there's no increase in budget. Okay, that makes more sense.
Are we feeling better now? Okay,
I like the idea of cutting down the budget.
so I need a motion then to put forward $300,000 to the finance committee for the building and designing of the new park at 14 West Jefferson Street. Does that sound right?
Is this
So-
a recommendation to the executive committee to put it forward?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was told
You don't need to
finance.
do that. You do not need to do that. In my opinion, you don't need to make a recommendation anywhere from this committee. That it can just be addressed by the two of you who are on the finance committee at the next finance committee next week. And
So we don't.
put
need
it
to
in the
move it?
budget.
Okay,
So what do we need to do?
Finance was 2 days ago.
We're having a
But
finance
we have
meeting
another
next
meeting.
week
yeah,
on Tuesday at, I don't think we decided what time yet.
okay.
So just for clarification, this was just a discussion for that to be brought up at the finance committee? Or is there gonna be a motion here?
That's what we're debating.
I don't believe,
Because Jim wanted me to motion it to get it on so that he could put it on his agenda.
okay,
So motion to
So-
recommend to finance.
Finance,
But-
yes.
but
We're having
No.
confusion.
you don't need to make a recommendation. You are asking the finance committee chair to please put this on his agenda for next week.
Perfect.
And that's what
Yes.
you will be doing. And so it
Okay.
goes on. Recommendations from ad hocs go directly to the executive committee based on the county board rules. This is not necessarily a recommendation. This is an ask that you guys are asking for this to be considered for the budget for next year. It's not a recommendation. It's just a ask.
So
Okay.
what do we need to do here?
I don't know that you would necessarily need a motion to ask something to be put on
No.
an agenda. I think it's just a matter of, you've had a discussion. If everyone is in agreement, then I think you can just ask that it be added to their agenda without needing to vote on anything.
Correct.
Okay,
And you only would need to vote on these things that are on your agenda today if you were going to try to fund it for this year. But if your goal is to have it funded with the 300,000 for next year and the 500 remaining or 400 remaining being absorbed in, that's not a vote here. Does everybody understand that? Okay. So your discussion is that you would like to request the committee chair, Janet will reach out to
to Jim.
Jim and say, we would like to have this on your agenda to include in the 2025 budget for next week.
Perfect. All right, I can do that. I told him I'd be calling him around 11, so, and let him know what happens here, so we're good.
So you don't need to vote on anything else?
Okay.
If that's your decision to do it that way?
Are we good with all of that?
Well, it says recommendation there.
Well, that's what was
Yeah.
on in case you chose to address it within the 2024 budget. You would need to have a vote, but because you're not, you're making a request of the committee chair of finance to have it included in the budget. It's not a vote
Okay,
to move anything forward.
So then who pays for the RFP coming up? How's that paid? Or is that paid for next year?
That's what you're funding, all of that. Yes,
Perfect,
okay.
in your capital request, yes.
perfect. So it
So-
doesn't go to capital then?
No, that's just a formal phrase for the portion of the budget where this would be included as a project.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So that, then any other old business? No, I don't think so. Any public comment? Any public comment online? No public comment out in hall? Okay, any announcements from the chair? Nope, other than I'm gonna reach out to Jim around 11. Any need for executive session? No. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
Motion, Logan.
Second Williams.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next meeting to be determined, and we're closing at 9:52.
Do you think you're having,
I have no
I
idea.
heard remotely, probably, yeah,